head over to Erangel. Let's go over to the casters for all the action.
The old, the tried, the tested Erangel is where we will be finishing PGS2 all together. 3 matches left before we'll crown our victors. And Matrim, this race is far from over.
This is where you can't stumble, right? You can't trip at the finish line. We've seen the capabilities of these squads, and while it was a pretty rough game for, let's be honest, our top 5, top 6 teams, we are seeing more breath of life come out from these other squads, finding these opportunities, most notably Question Mark. I think that you just have to admit how impressive they continue to play inside of all of this.
And also, I mean, one thing is that first we see Sonics down and out. Everyone else will go, great, that's first place, let's hunt them down. Twisted Minds can't capitalize, they fall immediately after. Then you go, great, now that's both of the 2 teams, the 2 unreachable teams within reach all of a sudden, and Question Marks just full on claim everything they could off of an opportunity like that, because I don't think you're going to get any more of those kinds of opportunities. Knowing how good Twisted Minds are on Erangel, knowing how well Sonics have been playing as of late, those 0-point games, those low-point games now, I know Sonics got a few kills, but still, low performances aren't bound to happen here in the final 3 games of neither Sonics or Twisted Minds.
If you go out that early, let's be real, 8 kills is an outlier. That's not necessarily going to be your commonality. But if you can do it, great. That was kind of the recipe for success for a couple of our teams that we've kind of been seeing struggle over here. I mean, Tai Lu, the Expendables, that was kind of what they were trying to vibe on in the group stage. Sonic's going to get a feast off of that. His playing path was pretty just east-west. We are going to be going much more north this time. Yaz Naya Center with Stolper in play.
It's the first time in 2 days the little ghost has spent this long time in a car without getting a kill for it. But as we saw, 777 did manage to fly to safety down towards Gatka Circle, as you said, up towards the northeast Danawa Dead Center. But of course, it's still very, very early days here in the first Erangel of the day.
Forrest actually making a shift up into Kameshki to get some loot. I'm not mad about it. A very untouched location, and with this much of Stolper in play, we could see it shift up into the north. We do also have a pretty flat circle down into the southeast, as we do have some of Prison still in play, but it's a lot more about what we're going to be seeing going on, I think, on this eastern front, specifically the southwestern fronts as well. Stolper, if anybody opts into playing along that area, yes, we do have the 50-50 river that's cutting through, but it makes it even almost worse that it's not got that Georgia pole siding into it, and it's got the Stolper side into it, because yes, you can path up Stolper, but man, it just feels atrocious.
It is difficult to play up there, no doubt about it. We've been up there quite a few times as of late, so wouldn't be the biggest surprise if it was to happen again. If you mind, on our screens right now, currently sat in a tied 14th, 15th place with Gen G, 2 Korean teams who have been struggling to really get anything going here in the grand finals.
Yeah, it's a tie up between these squads, and you gotta acknowledge, it is gonna be, if you mind, finding a lot of these opportunities, making sure that they're exploiting it. Their good read and macro is something that I really like to see from squads and newer players. This isn't necessarily a lot of just, it's been a lot of forced errors that have had to come their way, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, look inside that last game. They had the right compound. It's just everybody in the world comes after them, and you have to rely on firefighting skills and one of your first lands ever to be able to go up against like teams like 4 Angry Men.
I mean, the thing is, when you look at the prize pool as well of this tournament, just one spot better could be a huge bump up in money. So even if you're Expendables, even if you're Gen G down at the bottom of the leaderboard, a couple of good games here that can take you from 16th maybe to top 10, that will be huge. We call it totally double, potentially tripling up the money that you earn from this tournament off of just a couple of good games now here in a row.
And don't forget, Cerberus was down here in the thick of what was going on in the bottom half, and they found their opportunities. Don't count these guys out yet. 3 games, and you can see it's still pretty compacted down at that bottom area. What? I mean, 58, 58, 61, 62. Just look, one squad wipe, and you've already shifted yourself up several digits inside of this one, and if we look at the total prize pool.
Definitely. Definitely. Xiaoyang, out of the vehicle he goes as he tries to make sure that no one is sat inside this compound, and good thing is there aren't anyone there. He's just fine, all on his own. As example, upside down his vehicle. No one's going to see that. The observer's casually going to fly all over to Ali. He's probably shaking his head. Come on, buddy. We're in the middle of a rotation, and now, well, Uber's going to pick up example.
Good guy, spectator. Nothing happened there. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Again, rotations, nothing too dramatic that we're having to look at right now. 17 Gaming They're moving out of that Pachinki line, kind of moving up along the school Rajak hillside as well, just trying to get some scouting out. They do have Tyloo that's just going to be playing out of Rajak. They might spot them in just a second, but that's more of a regroup than is anything else. Twisted Mind going to be just playing to the east of this position, as most of our teams are leaning into the southern area for this.
Now, one thing that is pretty interesting as the circle is going to start closing in just a half minute's time is that if we look at how some teams are still mid-looting phase, they're around the 5-minute mark, you'd imagine that they start rotating somewhat soon. Sonics and Question Mark are sat right next to each other on that southern side. Let me hold that thought for a second, though, because Na'Vi has opted to full-on breach into Cerberus, who are currently in a 2-2 split, with actually perfecting some Twisted Minds, finding a knock from them from afar.
Makes this breach way easier to come in and claim it, as it can be complicated. That doorway, though, could be a little bit scary. Gotta be cautious with it. Cerberus Imas does find another one. Good headshot, whatever it matters. And suddenly, Cerberus is trying to turn this one back around. It is going to be just Mel, the last one up, but can the reinforcements come down in time?
Rag up anything extra that you can. You can see that Mel now forced to turn around, forced to turn his attention to Himas. Here's the nade, land on the floor right next to him. Nothing he can do to try and commit to that. They have a player alive, so if they could get Tycon back on his feet, that would be huge. The Molly is going to force him off the angle, but here comes Twisted Minds in from the side. Alia flushed already, so also here now as well. Again, they're committing everything to trying to get a Tycon back on his feet.
They want to make sure that they get the secure inside this one, plus they can get the KP out of it. Nice little do-si-do coming out, as it is going to be just a jump down from the top, but don't forget about Twisted Minds. They come in, referee, take that point, and are going to step away.
The Cerberus commitment to rescuing Tycon here was absolutely insane. Yes, they lose Haisagi. Of course, that's not the way you want to start it, but them committing to the extent that they did Himas' constant repositioning, using the utility to force Melman off an opportunity to get the flush, absolutely insane. Very incredible plays coming up from Cerberus, even if they do take a casualty.
And those utility throws were on point. That was a key component. You had to hit that. Bob Sanghen, though, having to hit some shots of his own. He's got PO right down below him, spots him, gets the knock. Now, if you mind, Game PT, neck and neck with these guys on the leaderboard, neck and neck around this compound. Bob Sanghen, though, gonna get spotted. He's gonna go down.
Yep, once again, I mean, we're seeing a lot of these split positions being punished early on. If you mind, still up 2 players up close, and as I say that, Hush and Hill are actually working together, taking down 2, and now it's just Taman left alive.
Back in, Hush knows exactly where Taman is. Push gonna come out. Ella trying to hit, finally finishes it up. And if you mind, gonna be climbing up that leaderboard, getting the distance away from Jinji now.
Yeah, battling down the bottom of the leaderboard, not where you want to be. But if there's a time to turn things around for Game BT, as we were just saying, dealing with one of the teams close to you on the leaderboard could be what's gonna allow you to propel up into the higher rankings.
And also, just think about it, being ahead of 4 Angry Men and Jinji, that's a moral booster, no matter how you look at it.
Pretty impressive. Teams, of course, Orcs with a lot of history in this game. And unfortunately for them, 2 teams that have yet to find any sort of success here in the Grand Finals.
Shift down to that one. I do like this one. They finish up their firefight, now kind of eyeing more into this territory. This is where T5 has opted into moving. You were pointing out earlier, Sonics and QM, no rush into the circle, and surprise, surprise, Sonics shifting into the southwest yet again.
Yep, wrapping in from that southern side. They're starting to like the slow play style. Luke gets knocked, but that's all a bait, because here is Batulins over the top. He goes, finds the knock, but instantly shuts down from the other side. Connects from Xiao Yang, and he's not going to be able to actually say that no, he does get the flush onto Himas. So knock for knock, but the points are rewarded for Twisted Minds.
I mean, it's kind of fair, right? Twisted Minds should get some kill points out of just pretty much saving Cerberus a moment ago.
Yeah,
so
they did have some impact on that, no doubt. And now, though, the issue for Tycon is that he tries to wrap on over alongside Sadolsi to peek and see what they can find, but they have got FaZe Clan right behind them down towards the south. Sadolsi does get the flush on Loom, so a trade 1-for-1, I suppose, is only fair.
Looking out at this one, yes, FaZe being the kind of key factor that we're looking at. They're kind of playing in the hills just to the south, watching out for a lot of what's going to be going on, running a split of their own, and it's pretty strong control. Mirroring that just up to the northeast is going to be where we see 4 Angry Men at. Falcons running a bit more of a separated positional, as it's going to be to the east from that position, as nobody's wanting to make the commitments into this Badlands area. And it's no surprise, dude. This is... It is so hard to be played from this early game section.
Sure is, especially now with 4 AM taking over the plank houses towards that eastern side as well. Not gonna be easy to maneuver, and I think if you're Twisted Minds, you gotta really rethink your positioning here. Split 2-1-1 with Spiro towards Volcano. It's not the best spot to be in right now. Hopefully the circle shifts away from where they currently are, so that they can just say, "Great guys, just get out of here. We'll go back to the edge, back to where we, like to play, and see this one through." Because if they get the circles right on top of them, they're in a very awkward position.
See, the question mark's going to come into school right now. Sonic's going to be playing the Potato Hill just to the south of them. FaZe is the thing I still continue to look at as they keep creeping closer and closer into Cerberus. And this is, again, looking after trying to get some early game points, trusting the fact that they can try to pick those up. Circle is going to go right up in between Yasnaya and Nolan as a center.
Still plenty of interesting end games in this one as James headshot connected instantly. So Lolsey turns the car around going, great. First pull that comes through, it's a headshot. I know I'm about to fall. And James makes a little effort of finding the second after. Point collected for FaZe Clan. A needed point at that too, as they're sat currently in 12th.
Got a little bit of a shift into Yasnaya as it looks like Twisted Minds wants to get control of this compound right down in the southwest. Tons of vision if this goes fields. No surprise off of it. Tyloo also going to be kind of playing over in that western area, playing those buildings that are right up next to the lake. Tycon, I mean, out of the frying pan into the fire kind of situation. You managed to get away from a couple of those EU teams. Now you're going to be having to run right next to Danawa, 4 Angry Men, Solo. There are some shacks. There are some things to play over here. You just got to be very careful in your selection.
Yep. Which do you pick? What spot can you sit in and go, I guess there's no one looking at me for the next little while. There's a prone next to... No, that would be weird. He's going to go into the hills. Go into the hills, find a tree, find a rock, use your car for cover. Stay tight for a while. Every single point of this point matters. And with them sat this close to a team right in front, they would want everything you can get.
We're seeing some commitments coming to Stalber as well, as we just saw Forest. That's going to be just north of where Tycon made the stop at. T5 also going to be just to the west of them. The Expendables now also going to be wrapping back down away from Stalber, as they were kind of eyeing this, but it is going to be, if you mind Game PT, that dig themselves no lead.
The thing is here, because we're in phase 2 still, and there's still enough water in play on the western side of this circle, we're already now starting to try and predict where the 4th shift will take you. Because, again, we're shifting away from water in the next circle. So for Expendables now being down this hillside, they're saying, great, we can always wrap back up the other way. We were the last team up on the hills ourselves. As long as we can sit in a position for where we can see if any other team tries to wrap around us, which is what we're currently seeing question mark do, as long as Expendables catch that on rotation, they can dictate how many teams are allowed to be in that nearby position.
Yeah, question mark needs to be careful on this rotation, as there's a couple of entrenched squads that are going to be in front of them. Most notably, you can see it's going to be Expendables at least kind of cutting a path for them. Problem is, that means that they're also going to be taking that territory quite early, and that's going to force the Expendables to kind of navigate much further up this hillside, and they're going to kind of use those different plateaus to kind of jump right up above T5, deny any sight lines out, use those rocks. You can see there are some very good pathing angles you can take. You just got to hope that nobody gets a beat on you while you're trying to crest those rocks. That was just a second away from danger.
Well, if the previous game's anything to go by, with 3rd on 5 being up towards Stalbo, you'd imagine that the circle's going to swing in that direction too. In the meantime, Anonix able to get himself a nice little flare gun crate next to the mortar he's set up. So, well set up in that one, level 3 gear, and not liking the weapon. What are you not selecting there, Anonix? I'm curious.
It might have been one of those moments too where you just look at it, feed it over your teammates, and say, okay, what are we going to do with this one? What do I leave? Who's going to come pick this up? Because he is a bit separated away from the rest of his squad. They're playing more to the north of Yasnaya, so maybe he's just being a good guy teammate.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Maybe he's just disliking one of the crate guns. Couldn't see that happen. I'm matching this an MG3. That's my guess.
Could be.
In any case, back to 777. Again, this is the longest he's been alive in the last couple of wrangles he's gotten to play. Of course, love to see it. Expendables in this area of the map had one of the best games I've seen in a very long time in the group stages, and now we'll see if they can repeat something like that. Circle shifts pretty center, so we know that to some extent this one is going to go east, away from the remaining water down on that western side. But how far do we go? Into the city, into the fields, or up into the hills?
Yeah, this is, if it goes hard east, that's almost, I think, the worst scenario that can happen. FaZe is going to go ahead and go. Now, Yasnaya is all fine and good, but we can catch some airtime, potentially jump into it, or we can just go all the way to the top of Stalber.
Issue is, because I was seeing the all the way to the top of Stalber option too, but if that circle then goes south and they're on foot, that is going to be suicidal. So curious to see how far they're planning on trying to fly this one through.
There's a lot of fields around Yasnaya itself on this angle. Even if you go into Yasnaya and you have to foot push out, that's going to kind of suck as well. Sonic's going to make their push in. they are going to be moving in pretty close to Twisted Mind's positioning as, yep, just going to find an open avenue. No real firm defenses onto it as, yep, FaZe is going to be going, and it looks very far into the north.
Yep, flying all the way up to Starbuck, saying, you know what, let's play this one backs free, play it slow, play it down the hillside, and hope that this next shift comes up towards us.
I do like this. If you're going to have to walk on foot down into a firefight, it's much better be moving down the hillside than it is going to be walking out of Yasnaya, trying to make your way up the hillside. So with this, the gamble was hoping that there was no team up here. Is I think that Tai Lu had a similar idea that isn't going as well.
Yeah, no, trying to jump down right in the middle of what is already a pretty well fortified forest position is not going to be easy. They lose one instantly, and now 755 and Shen, the only two players able to stay alive through it, are forced to pretty much, if not prone down, there's something close to it, because no matter where they're going to be peeking, they'll be shot in return.
Question Mark has a similar idea as what we saw FaZe Clan do, not going quite up as much on the hillside, but they're going to be playing into the north. This is going to be a problem for the Expendables to try to have to contend with, is you can see they're going to get themselves entrenched, good spot, and going to probably be able to path into this depending on how FaZe moves.
Another thing that's pretty interesting in this one, as we see a Doozy and Question Mark get ever so much closer to Expendables, is that Twisted Minds and Sonics are next to each other down in Yasnaya too. So look at the kill feed, and whenever a fight pops up, that's a pretty big one of that, with the first and second place current teams potentially going at it with each other.
Oh, the Expendables, they have themselves the rock facing, but this is such an early fight for this. I like this. The Expendables realize, okay, the strength of this is the fact that usually you fight from it from a later stage position. Throwables just going to absolutely demolish you if you stay in it. And now Expendables going to go, nope, you can go ahead and have that. We're going to go ahead and move out. T5 is going to take some peppering shots, but Tai Lu's trouble is just going to keep continuing.
Yeah, Expendables' position is split very thin, and as you were saying, Tai Lu, there's just nowhere for them to go. One more bullet should do it. As Xiaowu finds the first, Xiaowu finds the second, and that is Tai Lu out in 14th.
That is just the epitome of whenever we talk about PUBG as a game of a second here or there. If they manage to get into position before FaZe, they would be much more comfortable up on the top, where FaZe is just kind of hanging out at, instead of having to make that last-minute shift. Leads to an absolute disaster as we are going to the hillsides and the plateaus north of Yasnaya.
Indeed, we are down to our Sonics. 4 AM have yet to make their move out of the south, and Twisted Mind now in a foot race with 17 to try and claim ridgeline positions. This could be a huge fight in the making, as well as we are seeing shots fired between the two teams. Remember as well that Twisted Minds lost a player earlier. They're only 3 alive. Now they're getting full-on pulled up by the entirety of 17 Gaming.
They just crashed right into the back of this one. You can see Perfectix wanting to try to come in support, but it is just over. He's got to cut over into the east of it. Forest hears this firefight. They're going to be moving into a more defended position. The north also has a firefight going on between FaZe and Question Mark right now, with Phil first going to be down. And we've been talking. He is an engine for what we see Question Mark trying to do.
Indeed, he has been. And in these areas too, at a distance, he hits almost every single shot available. They would really want to get him back on his feet, and indeed they have. FaZe though using the time here to get a little bit closer, but now forced to prone down once more.
Of course, back res James, man, he has been making some plays. This is a bold shifted and just navigating it. You have to deal with the explosions next to you. You have to trust in the fact that Corexi and Gustav are going to protect you. And now he feels like he's got the angle. Blue zone nade's going to be coming out. He wants to push into this one, but you can see Question Mark stepping back down the hillside away from it.
FaZe have to take this fight, and they have to take it fast now. If they can come out victorious, and even more important, if they come out victorious without any casualties, that would be so much space for them to maneuver going forward into this one. Falcons are slowly starting to creep in that direction from the east, so there could be a backstep in the making, which even more so adds to the factor that FaZe has to be quick about this takedown.
This is just such a strategic shift by both of these teams. James going to get the high ground. He knows that aggression is going to be the key to opening up this door for him. Goes for some shots, expecting somebody to step around the angle. That's going to be information that's going to be fed from up on top. Corexi trying to fit it, goes for the spray, using the rock itself, but there's just too many players there.
Nice off angle from Fex. James was debated all along the up close strip, but Fex was instantly there to trade in return. Corexi around the side, shots connected onto Aduzi as he falls down. Nice swing, nice double peek coming through there from Corexi, and Fex in the end of it. And once again, I mean, we've talked to James about it. He was the one to play the off angles before. Now he's sat much closer to Fex much more often, and we see it here. Yes, he falls, but Fex is instantly there to respond.
I love him in this new breach position, and just letting him use the confidence to come out, use that swagger that you know that he can bring. Twisted Minds going to go ahead and deal with what's the remnants of what's going on with 17 Gaming on their line. Eyes on, though, Danoa, Sonics, as they are still not yet inside the circle to the south.
Exactly. Game PT on that southern side, trying to hold out both of them as FaZe continue to take down players from Question Mark.
No kills yet for Sonics, and talk about making sure that you make the most out of a salvage game, and it's starting to feel like that might be what's going to be going on. Danoa still has a beat into what we can see Sonics trying to go. H-Win just can't find a passing. It's everybody up on this hillside, and if you mind, just making an absolute mess of anything that Sonics is wanting to do. Finally, Sonics getting some breathing room with that knock.
Yeah, a little kill come through. Maybe that's going to be more space granted to them. H-Win does fall, though, with no rest opportunity for them. So one player down as they have a bit of a ridge to work with, but that is going to be it.
Danoa now pretty sure who they've got next to them, not feeling the best about trying to make this push themselves, as both of these squads are going to be walking into a potential kill box with Twisted Minds up on top of it. Mime's going to go down. Soul, though, just doing a great job of defending this line.
Not that I have anything against Sonics at all, but I feel like now it would only be fair for them to get hit by a few mortars. With how much damage they've been doing to everyone else in dips over the course of this tournament, I feel like it would only be fair that they get a little bit of the hurt that other teams are going for with them.
Danoa now is firmly defending this angle. I like this, realizing the fact that Sonics, odd team out inside this. Smoke's now going to start coming down, and whenever we say, if you mind, they are the weakened squad on that opposing front, but let's not forget Twisted Minds still playing up that hillside. Could have some vision on them if they rotate into that northwest.
Boomed it definitely with just two players up, but Perfectix and Spiro have been making headlines all tournament long with their performances. Now Sonic's forced to leave, couldn't stick around for much longer. They're going to be running straight into Game BT as Hush finds a headshot. Connected onto Takeoff, some damage comes through, but a lot of damage in return as well. They've made landfall, they've got enough here, but what can they make happen?
Sonics tries to steal it, but the vehicle destroys Sonics. It bounces them out. They get sent off into no man's land, and Sonics go down.
What just happened? The vehicle out of control, falling back down the hill, and Sonics fall. That's a 1-point game for our current first place team.
Twisted Minds now has the opportunity to come alive on this hillside, but they're weakened. Question mark, weakened. Danoa looks up the hillside. They see opportunity, and they want everything.
And once again for Sonics, yes, they fall, but they get to live with the scare as they fall instantly after. Twisted Minds out with them.
Oh my God, we're just seeing it continue to stack. Question mark, being weakened in this stage, oddly beneficial for Sonics and their bad game, but Danoa, can you make the most of this when 17 gaining, also weakened around you? You have the opportunity on this leaderboard. For Angry Men, though, they want more. They are unhappy with where they're at. They want to have a good tournament, but Danoa is the one that's gatekeeping them out.
Danoa needs to make space, and they need to make it now, because they are starting to fall like flies as the push is coming through. We're seeing the kill here. They get out of the car and runs back down the hill. Oh no! Friends, oh friends, apply the parking brakes. That is just not what you want to have happen. And for Danoa, this is the same thing, just Loki now left alive. P90 in hand, he needs points. He got one more off of the flush on Lou, but nothing more is to be found. Edge Ace SMM takes him down, and 4 AM lives to fight another circle.
This looks like it's becoming the story of the middle of the pack, the bottom of the leaderboard. This is your opportunity game. The people that have been feasting at the top, they're weakened, they're out. Can you make something happen here for yourselves? This is where you can get your prize pool.
Sure is. Question mark might only have Dante left alive, but he is going to do everything in his power to stay alive and out of vision of the opponents for as long as possible. It's still a bit of a jump up to Sonics in first. So he knows that every single little point could be the deciding factor in whether or not they can make themselves into first place.
I want to point out FaZe still 4 members up, very far up into the north of this one. A lot of control inside the circle. Falcons as well. The Expendables, no easy pathing, as yet again, Forest continues to impress me with their playstyle for just being such a new LAN roster. They're playing this so well.
Trying to play it smart, trying to play it from behind, a little caught up in the shacks on the other side, but now 4 AM from the south. They've lost one already. We'll see what they can make happen as the fight now goes to both Game PT, but also Little Ghost is still alive and kicking. You cannot count him out.
Man, this is a rock and a hard place, quite literally. He's just hunkered down right here. We've got If You Mind sitting at 7 kills right now. They're trying to make the most out of this one, realizing that they can try to have themselves a game. There's a lot of weekend squads to be played around, but Little Ghost going to get those nades hit right up on top of him. 4 Angry Men might bypass him, though. They might think that those nades were supposed to be coming after them. If you mind, though, with the distraction, you're going to have to realize that 4 Angry Men right underneath of them.
Yep, Hella shoots on over, instantly met with a headshot in return, and the HS might be a bit too far off on that flank angle. Running one step too far. Oh, but ill goes, peeks forward. Xiaopian instantly there with the return. Solid shots coming through as now Game PT again still with 2 players. I'll try to hold on, finds the first one, finds the second one as well. Hush steps up where no one else can.
And here come the Expendables. They have an opportunity down, multiple people in front of them. Points to be picked up. 777 going to be leading the way. HSMM realizing it is just nothing that he can do. Every single angle he tries to hide from is going to get punished.
Exactly, 777. These rocks, they're so hard to maneuver around on, because with every single peek on over, you're leaving yourself exposed to other teams. But the nade perfectly placed on top. Tanwu from underneath finds Hella as well. And that is, if you mind, Game PT out in 8th.
Forrest going to try to backfill on this one, but this is an Expendables that's starting to get picked apart. Scappy does find 777. Now Tanvu having to look back into here, and this is really, really good for 4 Angry Men and their last member. He is now trying to get away from it, but the hillside causing him some problems.
This is the bottom of the current leaderboard saying we are not done yet. We still have games left to play, and it's 8th through 16th still up in this one. Of course, we still also cannot take out of the equation the last remaining player from question mark Dante, currently in placement points, trying to rag up more by the second. HSMM finds the double. That's Expendables down and out.
7, oh, look at this, 8, 9, 10. They've just got a few points between them. Falcons trying to get control over the center of the circle, but I still feel FaZe's positioning over here in the north. They're going to have to contend in with this more entrenched T5, but if they can get this firefight, if they can keep using this aggression, they could have themselves a game.
They're coming in with no info. They're playing whack-a-mole against the team in a perfect spot, and Rosset waits no time, peeking on over, finding Vex. And now Corexia is the next one on the chopping board. 3v1. Oh, has to run through the molly. A lot of damage done in that as well, as he's trying to creep his way away from it. But just on the other side of this rock waits Dante.
I mean, technically T5 is assisting QM pretty efficiently right now with what they're trying to do. Corexia just drops down, tries to go for the drop shot, but he's going to get spotted out. But Dante back behind this going, yeah, guys, keep killing. Keep knocking everybody out. Try to get me some placement points.
And most importantly, still inside the circle too, so doesn't have to move. 3rd on 5 has completely given up control of that compound. They were the ones in there. Dante has snuck in from behind, and they have no good reason to believe that anyone should be playing in that spot. 3 solos try to sneak their way for more placement points. And I say it's sneak, but MX is not going quiet about this one. Finds the first one, almost has the second one as well.
Oh, Emmy tried to get that one. Scappy reading it yet again, trying to squeeze out some more points, getting Meds back into a position. Emmy playing this low ground and out of the circle, realizes Scappy doesn't have to make too much more of a move. T5, though, realizes their numbers advantage. They are taking control over this circle, but they're starting to shift more into the east. HSMM just going to be to the south of them, and that means that this is a bigger opportunity for Dante by the second.
Yep, he's found one already. Claim those points, as many as you can. Top 4 guarantee for question mark. Make that top 3, as we're now in duos versus solos versus a 3-man team on 3rd on 5. Dante has never been the one to go out and rack up the points for his team in terms of kills. We have Bestalog, we have Filfers, we have Adusi, 3 heavy hitters. Dante is more of the smart one on the team to call out the rotations, to hold the off angles, but now the eyes are on him to try and mitigate the gap up to Twisted Minds, up to Sonics in this game. And once again, it seems to me like 3rd on 5 has absolutely no clue what's that behind them.
And this is a massive game for T5. If they've got the numbers, if they can walk away with the kills off of this, walk away with first place, they are going to be in so much better of a position on that leaderboard, fighting, getting some breathing room away from what's going to be going on. Dante, though, you can see playing this one patiently, realizing that the threats have been leaned up against him for a while, hoping that maybe he can jump out, do something, but Scappy just doesn't have a path into the zone.
If he times this right, that's 2 kills easily for him for the taken. The thing is, the further 3rd on 5 gets away from him, the more they push towards circle center, the harder it's going to be to claim them quickly. If they're up close, you can get 2 at a double, but at a distance, it just makes it that much harder. 3rd on 5 playing this one smart. They know there are snakes in the fields, no reason for them to aggress. Play the dot, let the threats come to you, and hope that your numbers advantage is going to bring you the win.
They've played these types of positions before. They know exactly what they need to be playing for. They even know where Scappy is, and Scappy is just, He's just trapped, dude. I mean,
Gabby has a Panzerfaust, and I don't know why, but I have a feeling
Oh,
he's.
but
I have,
we were
I have, I
talking
have,
about
I have
this.
a really weird feeling that he's gonna somehow make a play with that Panzerfaust.
I mean, T5, you can even see.
I can imagine it. I can see it happen. And they group up
Group
just
man.
for a second, and he finds a double.
And then a good old question mark swoops in at the end of it. Could be a storyline that we could be watching. Rusted, though, still keeping an eye over here.
Yeah, they're expecting him to be on top. They're expecting the threat to come from up top, because again, they were the ones playing where Dante currently is. They have no good reason to think that is where he's at. Scabby tries to run on forward, not gonna happen, and now 3v1 Dante, it's all on you.
Walking out, weakened helmet, not the best feeling in the world. Pathapong looks like he's going to be the closest target to them. But with the way that this is set up, I do like that they might just be playing for blue zone damage and play for the circle 9, let it all kind of collapse in, let the anxiety build.
And again, I mean, we talk about salvage games. Even when you're in the top 2, this is a salvage game. Had Dante died with the rest of his team, 0 points would have been on the board. Now, at least, for Dante, for question mark, it's 6 guaranteed.
I like this. T5 realizing, okay, if they're going to be playing, there's a decent chance they could have come back to these compounds. Pathapong, if he holds here, I don't know what Dante.
There are only so many places Dante can be at this point, and I think that's what the team is starting to realize. Great, we've literally checked everything, and now Pathapong is just looking down towards the compound. Dante, what's up, mate? Down there? You gonna do anything, or are we just gonna claim this one for free?
There is some psychology to be played inside this. I think he might have gone for the peak. Pathapong's now getting a bit jukey. Yeah, they saw him. They know where he is. Is he going to go on a blue? Is he going to try to go down a Blaze of Glory? Blaze of Glory is going to be it. And T5 picks it up and gets themselves a win and a climb on the leaderboard.
They flew north. Circles kept coming north. They made space where they had to. The third party where they had to. The proactive third on 5 is the proactive third on 5 that I like to see. They come up victorious. It's going to bump them up the leaderboard. And a nice reset for them